didn't see you there. Good afternoon. Welcome back to another episode of Meacham History with your host, Connor Meacham. Today, we're going to be talking about the 1920s in the United States, specifically the automobile and travel developments in the 1920s in the United States. Now, the 1920s was the golden age of automobile and travel developments. People like Henry Ford, Charles Lindbergh, Amelia Earhart, Alfred Sloan all led this mighty charge, making life what we know it today. Automobiles in the 1920s. First section. In the 1920s, automobiles became cheaper and more reliable, predominantly due to Henry Ford. If not the most popular name in all of American automotive history, definitely the most well-known name in the 1920s automotive history. Henry Ford is the owner of the Ford Motor Company. He founded the company himself, hence the name. The Ford Motor Company developed the Model T, the most successful car in the early 1920s. He also invented the assembly line, which allowed for the mass production of cars, making cars more accessible for everyone. Henry Ford was practically a genius. He popularized his ideas by paying his workers bigger wages so that they could afford the cars they built. On to another company, General Motors specifically, the second biggest company in the 1920s United States automotive industry. 1921, Alfred Sloan is the CEO of General Motors, the biggest competitor for Ford. Now, even though General Motors was the biggest competitor with Ford, they weren't even close to that. Ford held 61% of the automotive market in the 1920s. We're done with automotive history now. We're moving on to aviation. 1920s airplane developments. The income of pilots after World War I allowed for major, I'm talking big scale, airplane development. Now, engines become progressively better, allowing metal planes with more stamina than the regular plane. At first, planes were very low weight. They could not carry much cargo, so they were mostly mail carriers. But as these engines are increasing, planes become able to carry passengers. The first passenger plane ticket was sold in 1927. Airplanes also opened up a whole new world as far as exploration goes. Aerial exploration allowed remote places like the Antarctic and the Ohio River to be explored. Crap, I'm actually really hungry. I think I'm going to grab a snack. I'll be right back. Hey, I'm back. Now we're going to wrap it up, we're going to talk about my favorite category as far as automobile and airplane goes. We're going to talk about the automobile and aviative stunt market. Now, the stunt market for automobiles and airplanes was really created during the 1920s. Before that, neither automobiles nor airplanes had the capacity or power to be able to perform these insane stunts daredevils were performing. These daredevils would perform stunts either synchronized with a group or by themselves. Some of these stunts included setting new speed and distance records for airplanes. This is all made possible with the development of new engines. Now, two of these revolutionary people in the aviation stunt industry are Charles Lindbergh and Amelia Earhart. The big duo, male, female, both awesome. Charles Lindbergh was the first man to ever fly from New York to Paris. A feat that might not seem difficult today, but back then, you got in a plane, your chances of dying were above 80%. It's not true. Okay, yeah, I made that up. But it's still really impressive. I couldn't do that. Neither could you, unless you're Charles Lindbergh. Anyway, Amelia Earhart, the first woman to ever cross the Atlantic Ocean in a plane. She was one of the most brave women ever in history. That wraps up our time for today, folks. I'll see you next time on Meacham History. 1920s, was Bigfoot alive?